morning. Hello. um, Give me a blink or a thumbs up or a holler if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. We're testing this out. I finally got internet, so I'm very curious what the upgrade, if any, in quality is. So drop me a comment, let me know. Um, let's see if it's any better. We are, by the way, still working off of the 6A. Very high chance that we're going to burn out at the 40 to 50-minute mark. If that happens, I don't know yet. I could come back on my Pixel 2 XL, but I figured that I'd try the 6A one more time on Wi-Fi just to see if it's any better in terms of preventing the overheating. Maybe writing off of the data network and live streaming at the same time for one cheap phone is too much for it to handle, so this is an experiment. Depending on how I feel, maybe I'll come back on the 2XL if we burn out on the 6A, but this is just an experiment. Happy Sunday, and I keep looking at the wrong place because the camera on this phone is at a slightly different placement than the 2XL. So if my eye line doesn't meet you, it's because I have to retrain myself on this new phone. What did it do the last time? So the stress test, we burnt out. You couldn't really tell, but my phone overheated, gave me a message, and it cut off my mobile network, which meant the live went offline because without mobile data, then I have no connection and can't live stream. The very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to make a little instant coffee protein shake. I'm really hungry, but I don't feel like, actually I might eat an apple too. But anyway, coffee first. I'm really tired. You can maybe see it on my face, but I'm not feeling wonderful. But good enough. So, okay. What I've been doing recently is because instant coffee allows me to use as much milk as I want. I basically just microwave like a tablespoon of water to dissolve the instant coffee granules. And then I pour in the milk and make it like coffee flavored milk, essentially. Hello, Sweden. A true chemistry major. Not I. Not I. So, this much water in the microwave because it is the most efficient way and fastest way to heat up that amount of water. And then I'm gonna get my ice ready. Nobody needs to know how to make a protein shake, do they? I'm just giving you absolutely useless content. Water. Hi, Sandra. I would like to request that. You know what? Never mind. Never mind. I'm slowly learning to shut my mouth up sometimes. Slowly. It's a lifelong process. I don't know how much coffee just went in. You saw though. It was probably too much. This is really shitty Maxwell coffee. It tastes like crap. But it's amazing when it's 95% milk. One of you is encouraging me to say it. I don't know. I think I'm just going to piss people off if I say it. And it's not going to do anything because as many times as I'll say these, as many times will other people keep doing it. So it's kind of a useless endeavor, isn't it? Do you think microwaving water affects baking even when you drink it? Is it better to boil? I don't know, guys. I'm just trying to melt this coffee granule, you know? I can't taste the difference. It's already shit coffee. Have shit water along with your shit coffee. We continue to pilfer Grandma's milk because she claims it's giving her nosebleeds. I don't know how in her mind she thinks that is at all a causation. Perhaps definitely a correlation, but we won't argue with Grandma the same way we won't argue with anyone else on the internet. Hi, Georgia. Oh, if you love my use of clean out fridge foods, you might like my next video where I have not started shooting it yet, but I'm thinking it's going to be like a pantry fridge clean out, but dessert edition. Does that intrigue you? Why don't you use a blender? Well, there is ice in here. I don't use a blender because then I have to wash the blender. And I am tired and lazy. Would you really want to wash a blender for a smoothie that you could just shake? Not really. Having a really hard time visualizing the asexuality video, but somebody wrote on my Instagram post last night, just start it. I think it's great advice because it tends to be the way of my videos where I do just start something without thinking through it, and that's what you guys seem to like anyway. So I'm just gonna try to start shooting the asexuality video maybe this week. This is the way that I used to do all of my college papers, which is to say very not well. They used to give me severe anxiety attacks because I would always wait till the very last minute to start them. One, because, you know, it's so much easier to procrastinate when you're under stress because it keeps getting more and more fearful and fearsome in your psyche. Second of all, I try to do everything in a single paper, which you simply can't do everything in one paper. But I tried, and that was awful. All of this is just to say that, like, I always tend to make things in life much harder than they have to be for myself. I don't know. It must be some sort of a complex that I should probably work out in therapy. Where perfectionism comes from, how much I've tried over the years to wean myself away from that kind of performing for criteria and standards that are impossible to feel fulfilled by. But anyway, a coffee protein shake. Cheers. Fred is gone. Fred is at Aaron's. I took him to Aaron's yesterday. Aaron texted me this morning and told me that Fred did not meow at all in his new place. So, I think Fred just hates me. Either that or this apartment is haunted, or both. So, Fred loves Aaron. Fred is very happy with Aaron. Fred slept with Aaron in his bed last night. I'm very happy to hear that. I'm happy for Aaron and I'm happy for Fred. Am I a little bit sad that Fred doesn't get along so well with me despite my bond with him? Yes, but if they're both happy, then I'm happy. It's fine. I'm so used to loving men who don't love me back. Guess it applies to cats too. Meredith says, I just became a procrastinator during COVID and it sucks. Meredith, I'm gonna have to tell you something. After COVID, my energy level and my attention level have dipped severely, like severely. I actually just managed to mop my apartment very rushedly, but I got it done in an hour. When I first got COVID, the week after I recovered, it took me 3.5 hours to mop the apartment. So my energy level is bouncing back literally 3 months after I got better from COVID. So maybe it's not you becoming lazy or procrastinating, it's just that your body's kind of broken down, you know? So after COVID, a lot has changed in me, physically, mentally, spiritually. I think it rode off the coattails of everything else that preceded getting COVID too. So just all in a row. Whatever. Let's cook. Let's pull out my fridge thingies. Hi, Malaysia and the Philippines. Let's see what we got. We got some black-eyed peas. We got half a chopped onion. We got some cabbage. We have some very sad scallions. We got some pickles. We got some dressing. We got more dressing. Okay. Interesting. It's a lot of dressing. Him. Okay. Got a lot of fruit. Oh, I went to the farmer's market today. I bought a bag of pre-bagged apples, which tend to be cheaper. Guess how much this bag of pre-bagged apples, meaning you don't get to select it, they already packed it for you, cost. There is 11 small apples. They're pretty small. They're pretty small apples. 11 small apples. How much would you say? This is from the farmer's market, by the way, just so you know, farmer's market apples. Bye, Yuka. Okay, a lot of people guessing 4. Some guess 15. 199. Okay, I will tell you. This bag costs $6.75. $6.75, approximately 3 pounds. It's a little over 3 pounds. So. It's a ripoff? Well, good luck finding cheaper from a farmer's market. I do want us to think about this though. How we consider whether or not something is a good price and how much labor actually goes into buying an apple. I don't know where Trader Joe's sources their apples. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I don't know where they source it. It was cash only. This particular stand is cash only, yeah. We might need a second shake. I don't know if it's organic. No idea. I don't think it is, but also keep in mind that in the US, in order to label your stuff as organic, you need to go through the USDA certification process, which costs money. So for a lot of small farms that are already making like not that much of a profit margin to keep running, even $600 to $800 for that certification might be too much. I don't know where to put you. I don't know where to put you. That's not a good angle, is it? That's better, I think. Guys, let's see if I can read your comments. I forgot that I had a computer that can also go online at the same time. Gasp! It's like we're back to the good old days of streaming. Isn't that exciting? It's gonna be so exciting. Boop, boo, doo, 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 doo. Oh my god! We're back. We're back with the chat. Back with the chat. How exciting is this? It's like I've jumped back in time. Holy crapaloni. Holy crapaloni. Look at it! Look at it! I'm so excited. I don't know if you're excited. I'm excited. Wow. It's like I'm a professional content creator or something. Imagine. Are you kind of impressed though that I lasted 4 months almost without without Wi-Fi? 4 months without Wi-Fi. I had my phone, just didn't have Wi-Fi. How do you know about my seamless gift card? You must have a really good memory. Yeah. I gave it to Aaron when he had COVID because I really liked to cook when I had COVID, but then Aaron got COVID, so I sold it. I sold the gift card to Aaron at a discounted rate. Because when my coworkers gave me a bereavement gift card for Grubhub, I gave it to Aaron for free. And this time I was like, you know what? I'm gonna charge you for it. I'm gonna charge you for it because this is my gift card. So yeah, I saved about, I guess, $200 from 4 months of not having Wi-Fi. But my objective was not to save money. My objective was not to give Spectrum money. And Spectrum was my only service provider available in this building. However, we are running off of the T-Mobile internet right now. This was the only other provider I had options for. You tell me if the Pixel is pixeling today. How's it look? But, you know, if it overheats, maybe we have 20 more minutes before it overheats, and then we just get cut off. Are the white cabinets hard to keep clean? I have not cleaned them yet, so I guess it depends on how clean you want to be. I'm going to do a white just for you. It's a little dusty, yes. Is it going to turn grimy? Probably. All cabinets will turn grimy. The Pixel is my main phone. I am not that wealthy, guys. I only have enough money for one phone. I only had 2 phones for a while because I needed to keep my mom's mobile line alive. And that's why I started with a 4A, Pixel 4A, because mom's phone was like absolutely unusable. It kept shutting down and I was like, I can't be missing calls. And Aaron was like, the 4A seems like a good cheapish phone, so that's what I used for a while. I had my Pixel 2 XL for my own line. And then 3 months into the 4A, I dropped the phone with the case on and it fucking cracked. The glass cracked all over. And I've been basically using it for almost a year now with a cracked screen. And obviously with a screen that cracked, you've seen it in some videos, I think shit just gets in there, like humidity and stuff, and the phone just stopped working well. I basically reached a point where I would tap on the screen and it would not be responsive half the time, which is ironic because this 6A phone has a very non-responsive screen sometimes too. I've had issues with the thumbprint unlock, and this 6A is the second 6A they've sent. This 6A has a battery power that lasts about 10 hours only from full charge to depletion, which is amazingly small of a duration for a brand new phone. I would expect this phone to go at least 20 hours, not 10. So I'm pretty disappointed. I don't know if they sent me a brand new phone for the replacement. Maybe it was refurbished, but whatever the case is, I'm kind of disappointed with the weaknesses that I'm seeing in the 6A. I'm going to ask Google to maybe send me a third one. Third time's the charm. And I guess I'll just suck it up because I don't really want to spend more money. The 7 is like double the amount of money as the 6A, so it's like $800. The 6A is only $350 right now, so Aaron has a hack for the thumbprint. He says every time the phone doesn't recognize your thumbprint, add it again. So he's added 5 sets of his own thumbprints to the phone, and it raises the ability of thumbprint recognition. It does make me feel a little bit better that it works eventually, but it doesn't make me feel good that they put out a new phone with so many consistent bugs in it. What's the study about erythritol? Is it horrible for us? I would not be surprised. All of those artificial sugar replacement things are probably really bad. There is no such thing as a shortcut. We keep expecting shortcuts. So the 4A had perfect recognition of my index finger. The finger recognition mechanism was on the back of the phone. For the 6A, the finger recognition is on the screen in front of the phone, and it is doing a horrible job. And at first I thought, oh, it's because of my thumb. It's so worn and scarred from cooking that it can't read the print, which is fine. But then Aaron told me that he had a similar problem too, and now I'm just thinking it's just the shitty phone. Combined with the non-responsiveness on screen taps, sometimes towards the bottom of my screen, I don't have any recognition. Like, there's no acknowledgement from the phone that I'm tapping on something. I'll just keep, like, tapping, and it will not register the tap, which is, I don't know, it just seems like technology in 2023 should not be not recognizing a tap. Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Hi, Ohio. I'm making like just a trash meal based off of whatever I scrounged up in my fridge. iPhones are expensive. Apple is a horrible company. Because they're all horrible companies. I'm not dumb, I know that. But Google it's just as bad, if not worse, because of its reach. But iPhones I hate because they create this like in-group mentality. For example, the fact that they put Android users in the Messages app as a green bubble as opposed to a blue bubble, it just makes people feel lesser than. And I don't see why that's necessary. They just constantly... They're like the mean girls of the tech product world, you know? And I don't feel like buying into that mean girl mentality. And let's be honest, they all fucking sell your data. That's how they make money. Whatever. As a person who literally tells the entire internet of strangers her life details, I don't think there's not much for them to sell that I haven't sold or given away for free myself. So, you know, whatever. They want to do that, do it. Be my guest. They're all cultish. Don't pick on Apple. I will pick on Apple. Why? Why don't you want me to pick on Apple? That's like saying all countries do horrible things. Stop talking shit about the US. Why? Why? I love the glass pot. It does kind of burn on the bottom if you don't constantly stir. I saw a comment on a previous live stream that was like, I wanted to get this, but I read reviews that it burns. Yes, indeed it does. It does, but I love it still. So Aaron, the reason why I'm on board with Pixel is because they consistently have some of the best phone cameras on the market. Before I went in with the 6A, Aaron sent me a YouTube video that tested about 12 to 14 different phones across all of its photo capabilities, and the 6A and the 7 came out on top. So as a person who likes to take a lot of photos, who does a lot of live streaming, the photo camera quality is very important to me. Yes, indeed. All the child slave labor mining the cobalt. And what's the point of saying that anymore, Christian? I think we all recognize it now, right? And I guess I'm entering the phase of my life where I can answer almost any question being pitched at me with yes, and? What do you want me to see? What do you want me to do? That's amazing. I cooked these black eyed peas like a week ago, I think. They smell fine. I am making a trash meal. I found a lot of leftovers in my fridge. It includes black eyed peas and cabbage and scallions and half an onion, and I put some garlic and olive oil in the pot. We're just gonna make a mishmash. It's a trash meal. I don't have a recipe. I don't think people know what rutabagas are. I don't even think I know what rutabagas are. Guys, I'm gonna do something so weird. a while back, when I first moved in, I went to the Queens IKEA that is now closed, and I got these vegan hot dogs from IKEA. I think I'm gonna put some in here. Tomato sauce. You are a genius. Tomato sauce. However, tomato sauce gives me a lot of heartburn. Maybe not today. Maybe another day. Okay, I'm gonna use 2 spices that I just got in the mail. One is nigella seed, and one is cobanero chili. This one is pretty spicy. I've had it before. Aaron really likes this one, so if you're a fan of spicy spice pepper flakes, this is spicy spice pepper flakes. Nigella seed is, let's see, the tasting notes here say charred onion, tahini, and brick oven. Nigella seeds, in my opinion, taste a little bit like bitter fried onions. So this one smells a little bit like an onion bagel, if that makes sense. It's also known as black cumin, so yes, they might be from the cumin family. This is from Egypt, Central Egypt. It's a member of the buttercup family, according to this label, and perfect for baking, cheese making, adds savory, roasty flavor and aroma, sprinkle on breads and savory pastries, grind for spice blends, or make a paste like tahini. What are my least used spices? I'm not sure. I would say probably like Ajwan. Ajwan is kind of hard to use because it's very bitter. It also smells a little bit like cumin, but very aged. And it has a very strong mustiness to it, in my opinion. So this looks kind of like black sesame seeds. And I'll taste a little bit for you. It hits your mouth like little crunchy pieces of onion and has nuttiness of a sesame seed, and as you keep chewing it, it turns a little bit bitter. Almost like the same way of, imagine if you took like cardboard box from a cereal and you started chewing on that. Eventually the paper pulp will take on like a sweet, bitter note. This is what it reminds me of. At the end of it, there is like a soapy, slippery quality on your tongue. And as you go to swallow it, there is a certain kind of spiciness. It's not like a searing spiciness from a pepper flake, but it is spicy in that black peppery way. I actually really like using nigella seeds in like crackers. you know, they kind of look like black sesame seeds and they taste like onions. So you kind of achieve 2 spices with one. This is, that's enough. That will be enough. Quite spicy, yes. Going in with our IKEA vegan hot dogs. They are frozen, yes. Yes, my dresser is missing the top. That dresser top drawer was a little bit janky because the plastic railing inside was not really holding up anymore. So I just decided to get rid of it altogether. And now I can fit taller containers because there is no top drawer to keep it from closing. Erin was getting ready to throw that dresser out. We've had it for as long as we've been living together almost. So it carried a little bit of sentimentality, and because he was going to toss it out, and I mean, somebody probably could have stooped it, but I thought, I have all these spices now, that will be a perfect little home for them, so I took it home, and now it's there. Now I get to keep a little bit of our memories together. We met in China in 2011. We basically, we taught in different towns, so we didn't really live together, but he would visit me and my co-fellow on the weekends. And after that fellowship was done, I guess we started living together in 2013. And I moved out last November. So you do the math. A pretty long time. I don't know what that weird noise is. You tell me. I'm used to all the random noises in the neighborhood. So I don't really hear this, but I apologize if it is distracting. Welcome to my life. Yeah, it might be the ghosts. There is a hum outside, yes. I've just gotten used to it. Unfortunately, you can't really avoid this shit in New York, you know? You know what? I did not salt this, did I? I keep doing this where I'm not salting stuff. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to rip the cabbage and just lay it on top so that it steams. I don't really want the cabbage to be like stirred into it because my uncle told me a while back that cabbage family, you shouldn't eat leftovers of it. I don't know how scientifically, important that is, but I have discovered that when you let cruciferous veggies stay overnight in the fridge, they turn kind of bitter and they smell like farts every time you open the fridge. And I just decided, for better or for worse, it's easy enough for me to just cook it every time I want to eat it. So I'm just going to lay this on top. We're going to sprinkle some salt and we'll just let it steam. Done. How's everyone? I think we need to sharpen our knives soon. The handle does not get hot. I mean, it gets warm. This part gets very hot, but this part is very cool to the touch. It is cooler than my body temperature. So yes, I can lift it without a towel. But as always, after working in restaurants, I highly recommend that you develop a habit of always grabbing handles with a towel or a mitt, because once you develop that muscle memory of always grabbing potentially hot stuff, your chances of burning yourself is reduced. But, Jasmine says, love that you're continuing to do your thing. Jasmine, what else can I do if I don't do my thing? That's it. This is all I'm good for, I've discovered. I have no other talents in life other than making mush and talking shit about life. And apparently some of you like that, so hey. It's a win-win situation for us both, isn't it? Fred is with Aaron now. Fred has been moved to Aaron's new place. Aaron just moved. They are very happy together. It has become 100% clear to me that Fred loves Aaron way more than he loves me. I am not grieving it quite because I am too tired to grieve. And I've also decided that I am not ready for another pet in my life yet, guys. I know one day it's a possibility, but not right now. I have a good time cat sitting for my friend, and I'll cat sit Fred when my services are needed. But for now, I'm just gonna live the lonely single life. I'm really exhausted. I don't have energy anymore to have hope for companionship. If you miss Fred, you should follow Aaron on Instagram. I'm sure he will post him from time to time. I think I've burnt this now. I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to clean my stove. Why did he leave Queens? Because it was time. Why does anybody move? I can see Fred, but he's an hour away by subway now. I think inviting friends to eat mush together is always an option, but I don't know if any friend really wants to eat the mush. Sometimes I don't even want to eat the mush. I just cook the mush because I can't see food go to waste like that. But I would be kind of embarrassed to feed my friends the normal old mush that I cook, you know? It's not really fit for presentation. It's just, I feel like it's kind of like when my mom used to spend time cooking for me, but then when she would cook for herself, she would not cook anything. She would just like eat leftovers, reheated, straight in the pot. That's how I live. I feel like that's how a lot of people who spend a lot of time busy with work or caretaking for another human being eat, you know? They don't have time to make recipes. They don't have time to make anything fantastical. They just eat whatever they can. How are we doing? 53 minutes in. We have not burnt out yet. There is always a chance that we might, though. Always a chance. Depending on where in Manhattan, yes, I would say that Manhattan is probably the most expensive borough. If you are staying below, let's say, Sugar Hill, which is like Upper Harlem area, it's more expensive there. There are parts of Brooklyn that are catching up, and I would say the most expensive part of Queens is probably the part of Queens that is most close to Manhattan, which is Long Island City. Long Island City is being overrun by tech employees and the nouveau riche immigrants from China. So the rent there is very close to parts of Brooklyn and Midtown Manhattan. You know, it's all a very certain clientele that live in those areas. One thing to note is that if you live in an area with more expensive rent, all your other costs of living also go up accordingly, like grocery stores. So I was very upset yesterday when Aaron told me that his new place, he's paying for his own heating now, guys. That is ridiculous. There should not be any apartments for rent that does not cover your basic heating utilities. Like, that is just such a shark way to be a landlord. All of the apartments I've ever lived in for rent in New York City include hot water and heat. You pay for your electricity and cooking gas at most places, but heat, winter heat, should always be included. It's like the law, basically. Colin. A lot of reasons for taking apartments that aren't ideal, right? You guys know the deal. And especially anyone who lives in New York City knows how hard it is to find the perfect apartment. There's really no such thing, and the demand is so high right now, and the inventory in terms of free apartments is so low that you just have to settle sometimes. That is the truth. But now my stove is clean. Yay! I have no way of turning off my heat. If I could shut off my heat right now, I would, but I can't. I can't. I tried to turn the radiators off. The knobs move, but it doesn't do shit. Anyway, deep breath in. One more time. We're gonna think about all the fucking stressors that we've held on to for this entire week. The ones that we can't get out of our heads, the ones that got us stuck in the past, the ones that got us afraid for the future. And we're just going to momentarily let them get a little bit eviscerated by this next ding. Okay, just a little bit. It's not going to take care of all of it, but momentarily. Okay. It's not very mushy, but it does look very trashy. We got some nicely steamed salted cabbage on the bottom. We got some nice IKEA vegan dogs and black-eyed peas with nigella seeds and carbonara chili flakes. A little bit of salt. We might need to season it a little bit more, but that is where your toppings come in hand, like pickles and chopped herbs. If you thought Aaron and I were living together, you have not watched me for like half a year. Probs. In that case, welcome back. Maybe stay tuned. You'll find out through bits and pieces what else has changed in my life. I was thinking about this today when I was mopping, about the amount of people who come to this channel really confused because they haven't really kept up with any of my life developments, which is totally fine. It's not your job, but also it's not my job to keep you in the loop. I've been thinking about how much our modern media culture has made it like compulsory in a way to keep people updated in your life as if they were your best friends, but like they're just strangers. They are just strangers. And I really don't even have that many friends that I would want to repeat my life details to, so never mind internet strangers. But anyway, if you want to know details and updates, they're there. Just bits and pieces. Imagine you had a friend who's like not kept in touch with you for a year. And that's clearly either a friend who doesn't care that much about you, or they've just been so busy with their own lives that you guys lost touch, right? Think about how much attention you would be willing in your personal life to devote to that friend. And then think about whether or not I have any desire to tell complete strangers over and over again about what's new in my life. Just think about it. I think in the beginning of all of this, I was like, I want to be a nice person. I am a nice person. I'm going to answer everyone's questions every time they come up. And then I was like, you know what? No. That ain't going to work. That ain't going to work, girlfriend. Even if I like that friend, even if they didn't do anything mean, even if it's not their fault that we fell out of touch and it's not my fault that we fell out of touch, that's going to change our dynamic. To know that this person can go that long without staying in touch with you, it gives you new perspective and understanding of what your relationship dynamics are. If they're not invested, and I'm not invested, then there's no reason to be trying my hardest at every single opportunity to give them everything I want, or they want out of me, rather. So it's been a learning curve. I've discovered that I have to do this with people that I know in real life too, because people don't love you the same way that you love them. And people don't feel responsibility the same way that you feel responsibility. And it is really quite foolish of me to expect them to think the same way that I do and behave the same way that I do, which unfortunately is how I've operated for most of my life, until maybe just this past year and a half. And yeah, Julie, absolutely. So many of you are so nice to answer all these questions. Only do it. I just want to remind everybody, you're all adults. You probably don't need this reminder, but just in case you do, because I probably do need this reminder, only do things for other people if they bring you joy. Because if you do things for other people and they don't actually bring you joy, you will build resentment. And that will make things very unhappy for everyone involved. And I want everyone to be as happy as they can be, or at least be as less miserable as they can be. And the only way to do that is to respect and honor your own inclinations. Because I think there's been this prioritization of being a nice, good person at the cost of your own sanity and ability, and it's just not healthy. It's just not healthy for anyone, Even if you feel like you're doing stuff for the betterment of mankind, you're still wrecking yourself. You're fucking yourself up. Over the long term, if you develop that kind of mentality, you will grow tired, exhausted, burnt out. You will grow disenfranchised, and you will feel so much more hopeless than you need to. Mom did this. Mom did this to herself. Mom was taught under a very specific school of thought to be self-effacing and self-sacrificing, and she took pride and some sort of reverse joy, I guess, and being the caretaker and the provider and the good person, but she burnt out, and that made me very sad. That made Uncle very sad. That made Grandma very sad. I bet you if I asked Grandma, hey, if you knew Mom was gonna burn out and die on you because she spent all of her waking hours trying to work and stress over you, would you have rather died first? Of course, Grandma has willingly said she would have rather died first before Mom. But none of us know while we are still living how much detriment we bring onto ourselves and into ourselves through our habits. Mom was not aware of how detrimental her choices were becoming for herself, and she died. So it's a constant reminder for me to respect myself and listen to my body, because I've become very alienated to my own body. It is something that unfortunately I have been practicing since maybe forever. And especially since kind of developing disordered eating, for sure, I've ignored my body in so many different respects. I've pushed through different kinds of pain physically to just get shit done. And over time, that builds a habit of ignoring yourself and your existence. And then you wonder why we get sick. So, I'm getting very heated, so I'm going to open a window. And if you hear more noises, I do apologize. But let's sit and eat. I think I slept wrong. My neck feels awful. Okay. Look at all this comment. But people aren't gonna read the FAQ, Janelle says. Wait, Janelle's comment just disappeared. Wow. Yes, Janelle says, but people aren't going to read the FAQ. The title of this video is Trash Mush, but people keep asking what she is making. I think people just want to know, right? I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying this is like a symptom of our current society's mental wirings. We constantly want to know. We want to know everything, right? Because information has been within grasp for the last 2+ decades at the click of a button. And so now we're just like, what is it? Tell me now. It's just what we've been trained to do. Like, I'm not blaming anyone, but I'm also explaining why I'm tired of providing. Because as much as I can pretend to be, I am not a button that you can press and receive instant gratification from. I am unfortunately a human being, as mushy as the next being over. So keep that in mind. The Nigella. It has such a deep, toasty onion flavor. I just love smelling Nigella. And combined with like the creamy, sweet fragrance of the cabbage, it's a nice smell. Rachel says, why are people so caught up in exterior things so much anyway? June's June, whether she's with Aaron or Fred or working at Delish or whatever. But that's the thing, right? Like, what else are you going to want to know about me? There is only so much you can know about someone. If you've seen 3 of my videos, you probably know 80% of my personhood. Like, it's that clear, right? So for the remaining 20%, There's probably a good 10 to 12% where it's too personal that you wouldn't even know what to ask to know. And you might not even want to know those things about me because people at their core hide some very ugly things. Consciously or unconsciously, they will hide some ugly things because they are just not very palatable. The remaining 8% is the superficial stuff that is easy to ask and easy to answer, such as why did you break up? When did you move out? What did you do with your mom's house? Where's Fred? Why isn't Fred with you? How's grandma doing? All the little small talk that you would do with people that you see on a day-to-day basis, just as a way of saying a greeting, to make your presence known, to make the other person feel like they're cared for. I get it. Those are all social conventions that we've been trained to carry forward on. But it's a different one-on-one dynamic, and it's a different 286 people on one dynamic. Thankfully, out of the 286 currently watching, there's at least 50 of you who know exactly what's been going on in my life, who can pitch in. So that relieves the, very imbalanced ratio of interaction a little bit, but it's just fascinating to think about these things, like what we expect out of others, what they can provide, and when they can't provide those things that you expect them to provide, what kind of meaning and interpretation they read onto you because of their own needs that are not being met and because of their own insecurities that they're not willing to admit are their own and not other people's. And just like the unspoken things that contribute to misunderstandings because we can't accept other people for who they are, because we can only be capable of understanding people from who we are. And sometimes when we don't even know who we are, we can't understand anyone at all. And that in itself is a very stressful, contradictory, and convoluted ball of feelings to deal with. So when you're faced with a very straightforward internet interaction where I don't see any of your faces, I only see your names, and you're relatively anonymous, especially if you're using like a random username, it just creates the sense of like grab bag. Just grab me. But anyway. I don't even like when friends ask me the question, how are you? Because it can be such a triggering question. You are forced to think of all these things that like you don't really want to think about altogether. There's a lot of things that go into how I am, So that's when you start to separate language in terms of words and meanings and language in terms of social connotations and purposes. When people ask me, how are you? They don't really want to know all the details of my life. So then it takes a sort of jumping over mental gymnastics to tell myself, I know what your brain is thinking, and I know you want to like take into consideration exactly how you are, but that's not what this person is asking. This person is actually asking for a very straightforward one-word reply. But that's work. To get your brain to twist into different gears is work. And when you're already depleted of energy and motivation, the smallest instance of asking you to do that mental work, especially when coming from an internet stranger, will feel very not good. Listen, I like to argue with internet strangers too, media girl, sometimes. But when my entire life revolves around social media now, like on Instagram, people will. Oh, I just spat out. That was disgusting. Sorry. People will just DM me memes, anything from cats to, how ridiculous rent is in New York, or things about grief and personal sharings of their own life events, of how they identify with me. A lot of these messages are really sweet and considerate. A lot of these messages contain the same content that like a friend who knows me in real life would send me. But it is also kind of wear and tear exhausting to have to field all of those from strangers. Now you might be thinking, Junie, you don't have to field all of them, right? You literally don't have to answer any of them. It's true, I don't. But it's kind of like when you pass by someone on the street who's panhandling, or someone who's homeless, or someone who has up a sign that says, hey, I really need $37 to get home to Boston, please help. And you pass by them without giving anything, that has already affected you. That interaction has already sunken into a part of you. And it already probably has triggered some emotion and response and thoughts in you. And when you don't do something that someone else has reached out to ask you for, when you don't react to something that normally, socially speaking, conventionally speaking, deserves a response, it makes me feel guilty. So then I have to measure, in order to respond and feel tired, or in order to not respond, feel less tired but also guilty. The guilt itself is also a sort of tiring experience to go through. So I'm being presented with an exhausting option and a less exhausting option. And depending on the day, one of these options will be less exhausting than the other. And that's how I choose whether or not to respond to a stranger's requests, right? There is no rhyme or reason. There is no fairness. There is no consistency in how I deal with asks and demands and questions. It's just what I have energy for on that day. In one of your old live streams, you did something with banana peels. I really don't recommend eating banana peels. I did not really enjoy it. It was fine, but no, I would not do it again, honestly. And also, conventionally grown bananas, which is pretty much all I have access to, is probably rife with pesticides. So you probably don't want to ingest that. What do you think of parasocial relationships, June? They are the same as any other type of relationship. Romantic relationships can be good or can be bad. They can be toxic or they can be healing, right? Same thing with parasocial relationships. It depends on who the person is, who's trying to engage with you, what they want from you, how well they know themselves, how giving they are, how able they are to mutually exchange feelings and understanding. What do I think about parasocial relationships? I think they are unavoidable in the day and age that we live in, considering how much more we've come to live online, especially in the wake of going through ongoing pandemic lifestyle changes. So we need to understand how to navigate this new type of relationship the same way we've been trying to understand how to navigate any other kind of relationship it's been in existence forever. Just because we've had romantic relationships since the dawn of time doesn't mean that romantic relationships haven't evolved, and they have to cater to each individual, right? We all have different triggers, we all have different needs, we all have different insecurities, and we all have different wants and desires. So you need to find the people who fit you. In the same way with parasocial relationships. Obviously, it is very imbalanced of a relationship just by default of like one versus many. But that's not to say that I haven't gone on to develop real life connections with people that have started off as parasocial connections. Anything is possible. It just depends on how safe you feel, right? Same thing with in-person relationships. How safe do you feel around this person? How much can you trust them? And that's not to say that just because you feel safe, you are guaranteed safety. I felt very safe with people in real life who turned out to be not very safe for me. Oat bran oatmeal, olive, soft tofu, fermented tofu, soy sauce, sesame oil, nori, sesame seeds, fermented plum, and gailan. Oyster Matatoto. That sounds like a lot. I hope it's delicious. Yeah, Media Girl is right. You do these live streams for you. At least that was the intention from the start. And so just act like you feel. And if people hate it, they can leave and nobody is forced to watch it. Absolutely correct. Is that a guaranteed though for me that I won't adjust the way I conduct my live streams based off of feedback that people give me? No, because like I am not I'm a very porous being. You know, I absorb everything around me, which is why I have to be very careful of the types of environments that I enmesh myself into because I become those environments. I think to a greater or lesser degree, we all become our environments, which is why it is so important for us to consider who is around us. Does a vegan hot dog add anything tasty to the mix? Absolutely. I love it. It's kind of like OG Boca burgers. It's got a little bit of chewy bounciness from, I don't know, either gluten or soy product. But it's also chock full of veggies. Like you can see carrots in there. So it has like that kind of soft, varying texture. The flavoring is very Boca burger-esque. Salty, umami, a little bit of sweet. Maybe always put on the heading of your lives, catching up since mom died, broke up with Aaron almost 2 years ago, still friends, moved to a new apartment, but Aaron moved and kept Freddie. I can do that, but the thing about these lives is I don't do the lives with an agenda in mind. I don't even have a topic in mind sometimes. I put them on when I'm lonely, or I put them on when I think I'm cooking something absolutely crazy. I put them on for a variety of different reasons, but I don't always have like a script for myself. And honestly, I don't want to make it so easy for people to know details of my life. If they are so tight on time and they don't want to devote any time to understanding what's happening in my life, and they just want like the Sparks Notes edition of major plot points in my life, I say no. I don't want to give you access to that part of my life if you're not willing to sit around for 2.5 hours watching me make nothing at all, you know? Like, I want to make people feel like they earn it in a way. Not because I want to torture them, but because I don't want to seem like my life is here for the taking. I mean, my life is here for the taking, but only if you're interested in me, not if you're interested in just vulturing off of knowing my privacy. I'm not a private person. I am very much an open book, but I don't want to throw myself away like that, if that makes sense. I did see the movie The Menu. Mixed feelings about it. What did you guys think of the movie The Menu? Oh man, I'm so sorry that Germany's hospital food is literally indigestible. That sounds horrible. Why would they do that to people in the hospital of all places? Shouldn't they be giving you like stuff that are easy to digest, like simple carbs, bread? really remind you of Emmy from Emmy Made? Emmy is so nice. And she's always so soft and gentle and cute. That's not what I want to be at all. Bye, Polly. So the thing about the menu is I think it would read differently if you actually worked in a restaurant. And especially if you worked in a restaurant like at that level of prestige. I understand that it was supposed to be parody. I think it read more like a cheap pastiche. I hated the camera work. It was very incoherent. It had no soul of its own. Its only intention for me, from the creative standpoint, was to poke fun and was to do social critique. But like, it was made as if it were a scrapbook collage. It was meant for a platform like Netflix. It's not Oscar worthy, if that makes sense. But like being Oscar worthy is a whole other discussion of what Oscar worthy means anymore. But I just felt like it was kind of like a cheap film, which is fine. It had an all-star cast. I thought the acting was over the top. I think that is probably what the director wanted for that film. It just felt like it didn't ever land on its feet. It was constantly trying to do somersaults in the air, and it was landing on this like half cracked, aged gymnastics mat, and it didn't feel smooth to me at all, and I did not particularly enjoy it. I do not regret seeing it. I thought it was funny, but not a well-made movie. I haven't even heard of The Woman King. I didn't even know that was a film. Damn, I'm so out of it. I agree with you, JS. I think The Glass Onion was a much better film than The Menu. Because The Glass Onion had a very clear objective with a thought out storyline. Not to say it was the most genius plotline of all, but it was coherent. At no point in the film did I ever go, oh, we're switching lanes. There was one part of the menu that really fucking pissed me off. Are we ready for spoiler alerts? Everybody mute or clear off if you haven't watched the menu and you want to and you don't want me to spoil it for you. I'm going to give you 10 seconds starting now. I mean, the first Knives Out was way better. The first Knives Out was a movie. The Glass Onion was just entertainment. Hi, Berlin. Okay, so spoiling the menu. That scene where they're like drowning the angel investor and everybody's like, oh shit, he's actually gonna murder this guy in front of all of us. The camera work does one of the cheapest tricks ever in modern filmmaking, which is it does that all like shaky camera work thing to make you feel viscerally unsettled and panicked. That is like the cheapest camera work move you could possibly do. You only employ that kind of thing, usually seen in action films, when you can't choreograph something the right way to express what you want to express in terms of tone, mood, and message. For a scene as stagnant as that, where everybody is actually just standing in shock, cliffhanging off of whether or not this guy's actually going to get drowned in front of their fucking faces, it made no sense for the camera to be like, oh my god, I'm going crazy. There was no action. There was no physical action to rationalize that kind of camera movement. As a person who would be standing in that room, which is where the camera is positioned, right? It's positioned amongst the crowds of the diners. Nobody was moving. Nobody was moving. The only person who was moving was the guy who was about to be drowned, who was panicking and struggling to like break free from the ropes that he was not going to break free from. So that absolutely made no stylistic sense. And when I saw that scene, I was like, oh, yeah, these guys just went for like cheap social commentary. Like they went for the easiest, lowest elementary shooting style ever. All of the gorgeous food shots was obviously making fun of the chef's table's way of filmmaking, and I don't know. End rant. Oh no, one more rant. Who the fuck would eat a burger on a boat that they barely escaped from like a mass cult murder from? Even if I took the burger to go, I don't think I would eat that shit until like I got home and started crying and was on the floor. And even after that, I don't think I would have the appetite to eat the burger cooked for me by a mass murderer. You know? Didn't make sense. Anyway. She hadn't eaten all day. Yes, that's true. I think I'm gonna need, it turns out I didn't need these at all. That was very well seasoned. I loved it all. But I do want some more coffee. I don't feel awake at all. But I think one more cup might do it for me. Can I ask you guys for an opinion? So I've been going on first dates, and I've been taking them to this very specific Thai restaurant where you get a plate of food for 15 bucks, but obviously the plate of food is usually too much for me to comfortably stomach in one session unless I've been starving myself all day. So that I've actually started bringing a glass jar to pack leftovers into before I even dig into my plate. If you went out on a first date with me not knowing who the fuck I was, how would you feel if your very first date with this girl, she whips out a jar and starts to put food into the jar? Just tell me. Just give yourself a second to imagine the scenario and then tell me. They need to know that about you as soon as possible. That's hilarious. Oh my god, that was so much coffee. Holy shit. Holy shit. Yeah, right? She is cheap. She is cheap. I don't want to ask the restaurant to do it for me because I want to use my own glass jars. I don't want any plastic. It's definitely not a good look. Yes. I'm also keeping in mind that 90% of my viewership is women. Like, most of you are women. So I would wonder what a straight man would think. Why before I eat? Because I already know how much I can eat, and I don't want like saliva tainted stuff going into a jar for leftovers. I want to keep it as clean and sterile as possible. Now, if you went on a date and they did that, and you would be right to assume that they are either very poor or economically minded, would that make you less likely to want to go develop a deeper connection with this person? Okay, this is also fascinating. I think 90% of my viewership identifies as women, and then like a solid 6 to 7% of those who identify as men are gay. Which I think I love, because I think it might reflect on how indigestible I am to the straight male gaze. Like, I feel like I attract more queer people, which is very validating for me and the direction I want to go in for life. You'd order dessert for 2. That's nice of you. You don't want to end up as the partner of a cheapskate on TLC. I will have you know that I never let my date pay for anything on the date. I always split it. It's always an even split. It's a personal value of mine. And if they're not partaking in any of the food that I'm ordering, I tend to just pay for it myself. So in terms of being a cheapskate, I am at least an equal opportunity cheapskate. My thinking is, I pay for this food, therefore I get to do with it what I want. There is an aura around you that I think queer gay people trust and like. What is that aura? That's fascinating. I'll take that as like one of the biggest compliments I've ever received in my life. Jess says, I think you have someone at home. That's hilarious. What a fascinating conversation this is. I mean, here's the thing. We care about etiquette in terms of performing a certain identity. When you don't care to perform that identity anymore, then you obviously deprioritize etiquette. Because etiquette is usually prescribed by a powered class of people. Whether or not those values and objectives align with you, who can say? Etiquette is just a soft power. Etiquette prescribes behavior that really seek to segregate people of different classes. So etiquette in general is not conducive towards solidarity. And to everything that obstructs or actively destroys solidarity, I don't really give a shit about, right? Am I gonna, like, fart in front of you on a first date? No, that's courtesy. That may be etiquette too. But it's also just like, I'm compassionate enough to know that you don't want to be farted on a first date, you know? But as opposed to taking leftovers, that does not affect you. Me taking home my food does not affect you. The only thing that affects you is your immediate judgment of me and my action. Does that make sense? The humming right now is coming from the fridge. Unfortunately, the fridge is very loud when it works. I think it's kind of rude to pack up food before you eat. Fascinating. Really? Say more. I'm very intrigued by this. Oh, so we're at 1 minute and 42 minutes. So maybe it was being on the data and live streaming at the same time that wore the phone out. This is fascinating. Perhaps it's your way of sabotaging the date before it really starts? Wow, we're digging deep into psychology here. Why am I sabotaging myself? Because I'm making it so easy for them to judge me against conventional standards that I care not to uphold. But I think someone was right. Somebody wrote earlier in the comments, maybe you should give them a heads up before you do it. I did do that on one date. I was like, and he happened to watch one video of mine before, and I was like, I don't know how many videos of mine you've watched, but I'm gonna bring a jar and I'm gonna take home some of this ramen broth. And he was like, okay, thanks for the heads up. I don't think people would want to say anything mean about it, right? Because they realize if they say something mean about it, I mean, a part of their brain knows that they would be judging me vocally and obviously if they said anything mean about it. So they wouldn't. But who's to keep them from judging me mentally? I can't see that or hear that. Mm-hmm. Packing beforehand would remind you of your cheapskate dad. Unconscious negative 100 score. Exactly, right? Exactly. You would be authentic and that's the best you can be with someone, but some people don't like authenticity and some people don't. It's too much on a first meeting sometimes, you know? So I recognize that. I recognize it. I don't always do it, but when I do it, I am cognizant of the fact that I may be judged negatively for doing this action. And I guess it just depends on how much of a fuck I give on that day. Maybe packing food first means you don't plan on staying long. Interesting. Fascinating. Fascinating. This is an early test of your compatibility. I mean, so I talk about my asexuality before I meet up with people. And a lot of the guys that I've been meeting have already stated that like it would be hard for them to accept this part of myself in a long-term romantic relationship. So actually a lot of these dates have been prefaced with this will be platonic, which I really appreciate. I appreciate like the definition, the boundary setting, all of it. It just makes these interactions much less nebulous. Oh yeah, I am totally ready to rant. Yes, that is definitely a part of me. I guess the question is, have you had second dates with any of these people? No. But I've only done this on 2 dates. Um, I guess the question is, how weird is too weird? Um, and I don't know how many of them know I'm a chef. Actually, I don't think many of the people that I've matched with recently are aware of who I am, which is preferable to me. Why don't you just get some things to share? Yeah, we could. But at this place, it's like a plate of food for 15. I could offer it up, but it's a very casual place to start with already. But why would I ask for a smaller portion if I'm paying $15 for that portion? You know? I am a cheapskate, guys. Like, there's no question about it. I am a cheapskate. Only when it comes to things that I think are a good value. Do I buy things for other people? Yes. I willingly buy things for other people. I'm not a cheapskate when it comes to that. But am I a cheapskate in terms of living? Yeah. Why shouldn't I be? Why would I want to be wasteful? Um, so, we're veering between a individual critique in terms of behavior against the social mores and a societal critique in terms of, are these social mores actually worth upkeeping? Think about it. When do you go gay, June? I don't know, girl. I'm still waiting. I don't know how long I have to wait to go gay. I've been waiting a long time. Um, might not happen. Might not happen. Um, sad. I know. Just think, what would you think if the guy did what you did? Would you be judgmental? A little bit. I might ask him why he's packing it, right? Like, guys, listen, a date is a two-way street. You can ask questions. It depends on whether or not you want to know the answer and whether or not you're willing to ask the question. It depends on whether or not you're willing to confront the uncomfortable. Um, that shows me more about you than I would otherwise see. If I did something that makes you go, I'm going to see if you're going to ask me questions. Or are you just the type to avoid it altogether? I mean, for me to pose that question to Aaron, yeah, he might give me probably a very similar answer to what everybody else has given me. But keep in mind, Aaron has also been with me for 10 years. Like, he is no stranger to my hijinks. So, um, wow, okay. This comment says, I think we should keep our weirdness to ourselves on the first date at least, because bombarding them with your everything can scare them away. Then I guess go away. I'm tired. And if people get so easily scared by a girl packing food into a glass jar, I don't know what they're actually capable of handling. I don't think they can handle me if they can't handle a glass jar. Do the restaurants ever object to you doing this? This particular restaurant is a very casual $15 a plate restaurant where you pay $15 in cash, they give you a plate of rice, and there's a hotline containing about 10 to 12 items that you choose 3 from. And they plop those 3 that you choose onto your plate. It's so casual, guys. Would they object to it? I don't know, maybe, but I don't think so. They even give you takeaway containers if you want. It's it's not that serious, guys. This is like Queen's Eats, you know? It's not like a Manhattan waiter comes to fill up your water, checks in on you every 15 minutes, and asks you how your food is. Um, those places are really tiring because it feels like I'm dating the waiter too. Have you done this with people you kind of like or really like? Or would you do this with a person you really like? How would I know if I really like them until I see who they are? And yeah, I would do it with someone that I really like because I want them to really like who I really am. And this is who I really am. What I really want to do is to take home these foods that I can turn into leftovers later for a second meal. And I don't want to eat past my comfort, and I don't want to waste food. And I would rather that my leftovers be as clean as possible without my saliva on it. And I always offer them bites of my selections before I start packing it, because I tell them like, we're here. There are so many good dishes. You can feel free to order 3 that are different from me, and we can trade, right? So how would you handle an open relationship if you are asexual and are okay with your partner dating others to meet the needs you are unable to support? That was the last 5 years of my relationship with Aaron. How would you handle? Poorly, but I learned a lot. You believe that women would be easier to date than men. Why? Women are so much more flaky on these dating apps, in my experience. Girl, I wish we could switch sexualities just for funsies for a month. But unfortunately, we have not gotten to that stage of technology yet. One day, we will all be androids and we can flip our sexual orientation and gender with just the touch of a switch. And then who would we be? Nobody at all and everyone at once. Isn't that just the dream? Why don't you save the quirky until you know each other better? You are kind of testing them, yes? Always testing them. Just like I stress test my Pixel to decide if it's a good phone for me or not. You gotta test them. People have told me on first dates that I interrogate them a lot. I don't know what else people do on first dates. Beat around the bush and not ask each other things they really want to know. I want to know who you are. If you're afraid of who you are, or you're afraid of other people asking you about who you are, then I don't know if I want to be around you. I want to know if you know who you are. I want to know if you know what you want. I want to know if you can withstand this level of curiosity from someone else without taking personal offense or becoming defensive about it. A lot of people aren't. So I'm sure there are other people that they can date who will fit their sensibilities better, but that ain't me. Someone is going to write an article about a new glass jar dating trend. Yes, that is the kind of influencer I want to be. That is the only kind of influencer I want to be. Do you put the jar in your bag or does it just sit there on the table? If it's liquid, I let it sit on the table because if I put it in my bag, there's a higher probability that it's going to tip and leak. But if it's mostly dry stuff, I'll just put it away in my bag. How long do you talk to the person before going on the first date? It depends. Sometimes I can talk to them for days. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know, a pretty medium sized chat over the course of anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, depending on how fast they reply. And it depends on whether or not they are forthright with asking me to go meet in person. Some people are afraid to ask me to go meet in person. I don't know what they're waiting for, but if their conversation isn't really, how do I say, mutually engaging and they don't ask me to go meet them in person, then I probably would not take the initiative to ask them if they want to meet in person. If I feel like they've been very quick and easy to answer my questions, then I might take the lead on asking them to meet. It just depends. Different people, different speeds. What dishes and sides do you like at this place? There are no sides. They're just like 10 to 12 items on the hotline every day. Some of them are constant, some of them are not constant, and they swap them out day to day. That's the beauty of going to this place is you can see what your date chooses and it's all the same price. It's very accessible. There are no surprises. Speaking of, thank you for reminding me. I have to put cash in my wallet right now. Kara, congratulations on flipping your pancakes successfully. Um, Hello, Buford, Georgia. I think if someone came at you with a lot of personal questions, you would feel a bit on guard as well, yes? I would make it known to them that I'm not ready to answer those questions, or I would answer them with careful consideration. I want to ask you, as a longtime viewer of these live streams, do I ever feel on guard when you ask me questions? Sometimes I feel on guard with annoyance. But am I very guarded in your experience and interpretation? I would say, on average, I am much less on guard than most people. Um, so, do you date cis and trans men? I have not dated trans men. Um, I don't actually know if Hinge has given me any trans men. And in fact, I just had a friend who identifies as a woman who's had to go through the trans experience, and she got banned from Tinder for marking herself as a woman instead of a trans woman. Like, I guess people have reported her for misleading them. And I think that is quite a discriminatory move. I have no problem if people who have had to gone through the trans experience label themselves as just men or women without adding the prefix of trans. Because gender is a fucking construct. If I want to say I'm a man, then I think our current political culture and dictations, at least in our general political atmosphere, you know, the people who agree with me, would be like, yeah, you are a man, June. If you identify that way, fuck yeah. All the power to you, mate. So for Tinder to ban someone for identifying the way they identify is hateful. It's kind of hateful, and it's a very mean girl thing to do. To be like, you can't sit with us, you fake. Media Girl says, you are open, but it feels like you are scared of being hurt. Is anyone not scared of being hurt, guys? Aren't we all scared of being hurt? Sarah says there is 0 chance she's not autistic. Are you talking about me? Are we diagnosing me with autism? Tell me more. Tell me more. Aw, Kay Bullock. Thank you for asking your boyfriend for his opinion. The boots are being broken in, but they are not fully broken in yet. So, wow, I think my forehead grew. I like cropping off my forehead. Oof. Let me know how you've diagnosed me with autism. I want to know what exactly the diagnostics benchmarks are. There we go. All right, I'm gonna do some dishes and then I'm gonna log off because I have homework to do. Or I might just lie in bed. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. Everybody's wondering if they're autistic or bipolar. Like, it's so in this year. Neurodivergence is the new hottest identity to embody. Bye, Media Girl. Eliza. You like my hair? Me too. I look like a mushroom cat. The wrist tattoo actually did not hurt that much. My shoulder tattoo hurt more than the wrist. But I made sure to not have as much coloration on the inner wrist, which is where it hurts more. Any place that is close to your organs or your blood, like veins or bone, is gonna hurt more. Pooh Bear, I will not start a new glass jar takeaway container business. We do not need more glass jars in production. We already have glass jars. That is the beauty of glass jars. I am not going to create products for people who are just looking for a way to spend their money so that they can justify overworking themselves in the system that prize the hoarding of wealth. I want to live in a way that discourages hoarding of wealth. We can reuse so many things. We do not need to make more things. Like, we do not need to make anything, really. We have so much. We don't need to make babies either, guys.
baby chickens is different. We can always use cute animals. Humans, however, do not grow up to be very cute. Humans grow up to be very destructive to themselves and to other people. I do miss Red a little bit, but I'm also relieved that I don't have to take care of him, and I'm also happy, my hair, I'm also happy that he's happier with Aaron. You know what they say, when you truly love someone, you want what's best for them. And if what's best for Freddie is not with me, then so be it. I said humans. Humans don't grow up to be cute. Not Cubans. I have nothing against Cubans. Jesus Christ, guys. If I'm going to get canceled for something, it's not going to be as simple as identity politics. And certainly not straightforward racism. Grandma loved the sunshine today. She's doing wonderful. Okay guys, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to log off now. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. I am going to do my damnedest to start shooting the next video this upcoming week. Not for anyone else, but for me, because it has turned into a giant ball of anxiety. So, goodbye.